All right. It's a big day today. This is election day. If you're watching this any other day than November 3rd, 2020, then you understand. But maybe you're watching this because of the title, My Predictions or Election 2020 Predictions. So I'm doing it today. Could have done it any day this past week, but I'm posting this video. And I'm just going to make some predictions and see how I do. So, but before that, subscribe and share. The numbers are going up on this channel. That's what we need them to do. I am advocating for the President of the United States, whether it remains Donald Trump or whether it becomes Joe Biden, to recognize statehood for Artsakh. That's the only thing that's going to resolve this thing, for the United States to step in and recognize statehood. And I will do, we had a commenter on a regular commenter on our videos that has said, hey, do an episode about what will happen or what that means if statehood is recognized. So that is coming up. I will do that. But all right. So first, let me just show this website. I've mentioned it once before in one of my videos. Real Clear PollenText. It's an aggregating website. It pulls information from a bunch of sources. It just actually links to all these different articles. I'm just going to read through some of these headlines here in a minute, but I stumbled across Real Clear Politics several years ago, several election cycles ago, maybe back as far back as the second Obama election. I didn't really follow. I kind of followed politics for a long time, but not in depth. But when the internet, when I started doing it on the internet, I stumbled across this. And if you're a real political junkie, there's all kinds of stuff you can follow. Like it tracks, right? This is the Senate races and who's up and who's down over here. And then it'll track the presidential race in different, like there's the polling averages, and then which battleground states and who's doing well there. And the House races, what's up. These are the different races that are up in this election. Actually, in the House races, it's every election. All of them are up. The Senate races are. So if you're a real junkie, you can track it here before the election. You can track it here the day of the election, which is today. But you can also look all year long, every day, 3 times a day. It's like morning, noon, and night they update. And so you'll see that I'm recording this on October 31st. So I lied. I am not recording this on November 3rd. It doesn't matter. But I just want to read a few headlines. But let me make one prediction first. I'll make a few more predictions after this. I think Trump's going to win. And that's just because what I do is I look at both sides and I try not to weigh one side more heavily than the other. You can generally tell when someone is informed, when someone's being partisan, when somebody's trying to persuade, and when somebody's just reporting facts. And it's on both sides. And so, but you have to be able to read both sides, and you have to be able to decipher that. And there's so many factors. And, for example, one of the factors is the minority vote, like the black vote and the Hispanic vote. If you don't know this detail that I'm about to tell you, then you're not paying attention. You're not following enough sources. Let's just say that the black vote has been overwhelmingly Democrat for decades, overwhelmingly, like in the 90 percentile, that like there's this just uniformity that the Democrats get the black vote. And it's been said that if Trump gets as much as, I think it was like 12 or 13%, so that's still like 80, 88, 87% for the Democrats. But if Trump or the Republicans get, I think it's as much as 13%, maybe it's 12%, maybe it's 15%, something like that, that he'll win of the black vote. There, I don't have the surveys or the polls up here, but he's trending at like 30% for real. Because like Kanye West and the bunch of rappers and people, athletes coming out and supporting him. And so if you just follow that metric alone, if he's tracking it higher than 30%, like it may be up as high as 50%, it may actually get to that in this election. We'll see after the fact, but he needs is 15%. Now that's all things being equal, like everything else kind of playing out normally, like he doesn't lose voters in some other demographic. But if that's true, Trump's going to win. Similarly with the Hispanic vote, his numbers have gone way up among Hispanics, especially in some battleground states like Florida. Florida's supposed to be really close this time. I mean, it was really close last time. And it's supposed to be even tighter this time maybe, but like the Cuban vote is like 60% for Trump. And then there's another study that analyzes the honesty, basically the honesty of the people that are polled when they call, and they devised a test to determine what percentage of people lie to the pollsters. And what they broke it down, Democrat, Independent, and Republican, and it came out 5% of Democrats lie when they're being polled, 10% of independents and 10% of Republicans lie. And that's unusual. And so are Republicans lying and saying they're voting for Joe Biden? And there's an intimidation factor. If you're not aware of this, like there's a lot of people that think you're absolutely evil if you even say anything nice about Trump, much less say you're voting for him. And so, did I say subscribe and share? I just break into the middle of these thoughts and say subscribe and share. Please do it. So there's an intimidation factor, and so they call it the silent voter, or I guess that's what it's called. So and then there's the registration of Republicans. There's all these statistics. Even though the polls say Biden's ahead, there's all these other factors. The polls were wrong last time, and they may say that they've fixed them, but we don't really know. There's all these other factors. So that's one prediction. I'll make a few more predictions in a minute, but I just want to read through some of these headlines and maybe comment on some of them, because my real goal with this video is not, hopefully some of you are going to be watching this after the election, and if I'm wrong or I'm right. If I'm wrong, maybe I'll, take this video down out of embarrassment, but it doesn't matter. I'll probably leave it up. The point is, you need to be reading both sides of the story. And here's a good place. It's kind of a commercial for Real Clear Politics. There's other aggregating sites as well, or you can just Google. But, if you don't want to be ignorant, by definition, if you don't know both sides of an issue, you are ignorant, right? If you can't actually argue or state clearly both sides of an argument, you are by definition ignorant. So I did a video about, the Trump's hotel, Baku hotel yesterday. It's not so cut and dry. Oh, Trump was doing deals with the Azerbaijanis, so he's against Armenia, right? That's the narrative. All you hear is like, what? He wants to put a hotel in Baku, and he's just trying to get rich off of the Azeri oil money. He wants to make money. Who doesn't want to make money? He's a businessman at that level. But to just assume that he's got some ulterior motives in the pocket of the Azeris, no, that deal fell through, and he's actually stepped away from his business. All right. So you got to be able to, parse this stuff out. Let's just read some of this. Trump surges to 7-point Iowa lead as Biden fades. And so you'll be able to, by the tone of these headlines, you'll be able to determine which direction these periodicals lean. And DM Register, I don't know what DM stands for, but I don't know if this is a left or right leaning. Some of these are local presses. Like here's the Tennessee Star. This is just a local Tennessee paper, or a statewide Tennessee paper. But some of them are national, like the Washington Post and CNN, obviously, and Slate, New York Post, Politico. But Democrats tense and Republicans hopeful. I'm very curious what this article's about. I don't know. Biden goes all in on rebuilding blue wall. All right, so that wall broke down and Trump got elected last time, so he's focusing on those blue states. That's the blue wall. Certain states that were traditionally blue that actually that wall was breached by Trump, and he's may breach it again. I'm predicting that he will. Lawyers prepare for post-election fight in Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my predictions. So let's make that prediction now. There's going to be a ton of lawsuits that that the determination of who's president may be determined by the court. Is that a prediction? If I say maybe, let's see. Well, here's the thing. Hillary Clinton told Biden not to concede even if he looks like he's losing. So make this a contingency prediction. If Joe Biden follows Hillary Clinton's recommendation, then the election will be decided by a court ruling. Possibly the Supreme Court. Is that a prediction? Is it going to go to the Supreme Court? Gosh. I'll make it conditional. If Biden does not concede, it will go to the Supreme Court. There's my prediction. All right, where was I? Trump is campaigning for more coronavirus deaths. This one's kind of funny to me. And Slate is very left-leaning. Some of them, like Washington Post and even CNN, sometimes you'll get more of a straight story from them. But Slate tends to only lean left. And New York Post is more like Washington Post. Like they'll do straight stories and right-leaning stories. Washington Post will do straight stories and left-leaning. But Slate, I've not come across many articles that are objective, but that's just me. I don't read Slate all the time, but Trump is campaigning for more coronavirus deaths. Okay, that's a bit of a spin. He's campaigning for an economy to open up. And every economy, every human being weighs risk. Somebody was using the motorcycle analogy recently. You get on a motorcycle, you have a higher likelihood of dying on a motorcycle, but they're legal. We let people do it. We let people make their own decision. If we didn't want people to die, we would make the speed limit like 5 miles an hour, right? But we understand there's risks that we have to let people take. And that's your economy collapsing results in suicides, in the quality of life going down. There are a number of deaths associated with a collapsing economy that are not being factored in. And it's politics. Trump campaigning for more coronavirus deaths. It's like, that is such nonsense. It's like, oh my gosh. The media and smart set think Biden is a prohibitive favorite. All right, I did actually read a little bit of this article, and this is showing that, yes, Biden is leading in the polls, but that doesn't take into account the reality of the Electoral College. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and everybody's like, she should become president, popular vote. Our country has never been a popular vote country. It's just never been a popular vote country. If it were, campaigning would be different. If it were, Trump would be in California and New York only. Right? If it were win the popular vote, he would never leave California or New York and Texas, because those are the most populous states. And if it's about the popular vote, you got to spend all your time where the biggest numbers are. This country is much more complex than just individual human beings. It's about infrastructure. It's about states that produce things. It's about businesses, and a nation is not just human beings. It's the institutions that they build to create a pleasant place to live, all right? And to just go by the popular vote would basically eliminate small states from any contention. Their rights would just go out the window. All the big states would say, we're just going to govern this country based on what we big states want. So that makes campaigning a very different thing. Campaign in the battleground states where it's close and where you need those numbers to win. And so this article talks about that. That's what Trump did last time. He won those battleground states that nobody expected him to, and it looks like he may do it again, according to this article. Inside the Democrats' new plan to flip Texas, and Texas seems to be closer than it's ever been, and that would be devastating for the Trump campaign if that happens. I don't think it's going to happen. There's a prediction. Could the Biden family scandal lead to President Harris? Yes. Now, I don't know if this Tennessee Star is left or right leaning. I would say the mere fact that it's mentioning the Biden family scandal, it's probably a little right leaning because nobody's mentioning the Biden family scandal in, like, the Washington Post. I don't think has done a single article on it. Slate certainly is ignoring it. CNN, I don't know if has mentioned it at all, but there's a huge, huge scandal. And so the mere fact that they're mentioning it, Tennessee Star probably leans a little bit right. But why would it lead to a Harris presidency? Well, because Joe Biden is in legal trouble, like real legal trouble. And even if he wins, impeachment proceedings will probably start. And there's a prediction, all right? I don't think Biden's going to win, but if he does win, impeachment proceedings would start January 20th. And then Kamala Harris would become president probably within 2021, I guess, something like that. The friendships Trump pulled apart, New York Times tends to attack Trump a lot. So, that, I don't know. Who cares about that? 5 key reasons why I'm voting for Donald Trump. This Outkick is a kind of, I think it's a sports, it's a sports-related, a sports emphasis website. It's been around a couple years, but it's grown in prominence. And they actually have some good articles there. It's fairly new. I won't go through this all, but, plenty to read here. And if you're a political junkie, visit Real Clear Politics. And subscribe and share and click the notification bell. See you next time.